This episode of PTG is brought to you by HK Army and all of my paintball teams out there. It is time to take your game to the next level. Get laced up for the 2025 season with the HK Army sponsorship package, your ultimate gateway to custom gear, elite equipment, and unparalleled exposure. Stand out on the field with custom designed jerseys and gear featuring your team's branding alongside the iconic HK Army logo. Your team's style with our innovation. Boost your brand's exposure and get featured across HK Army's massive social platforms, reaching millions of fans worldwide. Be a part of the conversation in the paintball community with HK Army. Get access to the elite gear, high-performance markers, cutting-edge protection, paintballs, and the latest technology to help your team dominate the competition. Join a vibrant community of top-tier teams and players. Connect, share experiences, and participate in exclusive HK Army events. This is more than a sponsorship. It is truly a family. Don't wait. Sign up your team right now at hkarmy.com/sponsorship and gear up for the 2025 paintball season. HK Army, lace up, stand out, dominate. Go to hkarmy.com/sponsorship to get your team signed up right now. This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram, @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community.
All right, PTG Nation, my goodness.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Welcome, PTG Nation, to episode number, I don't know, but we're close to 300. We're getting
284.
Is it 284? All right, there we go. We got 284 in the house, and we got none other than the president of Major League Paintball, Mr. Tom Cole. Sir, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Excellent. So you would be considered pro champion. You're at the top of the ranks of the Major League Paintball, right?
So no, I have a tier that I haven't even released yet. That, I just reserved that for me. Yeah, I'm waiting for the big unveil there.
Nice. I can't wait. I'm sure it's excellent.
Yeah, pro champion.
Pro excellence.
Champion. You know what the problem was? I'm going to tell you what the true problem was.
Let's just get into it.
Is I didn't get on the podcast in advance to discuss this with you before I made this this horrible decision. So
you know, Tom, we live and we learn, right? We live and we learn, and in the future, I think we know what to do. We can avoid all of these problems, the commotion, and all the drama. All we got to do is hop on PTG. Yeah.
Come to play the game.
The people had fun. I could tell they were all having a great time. They were rallying, when it broke that they had kind of won, in air quotes, you know what I'm saying? There was like a riot. People were rioting. We did it. We did it.
Yeah, no, they were. I made a bunch. I feel like Facebook should be paying me to just create the drama, right?
Seriously.
I will say again, like, it shows. I feel like our community is really tight and really does really care about the game, and to have so many people care and try to overturn the government. That was kind of funny to see. But yeah, we're back to normal. But Tom, let's kind of talk about why that decision was made, or even what the goal of the name change was.
So, looking at it from the outside perspective of trying to get new people in, right? That's obviously our goal. And was trying to make the names a little more relevant to people on the outside that may be thinking about signing up for events and stuff like that, and kind of changing it. And we'll start at the beginning, like D5, 3 years ago, I don't even think D5 existed. I don't know when we added D5, but there was a time that D5 didn't exist at the national level, and we added that. Mm-hmm. And we really don't want people staying in D5 more than a year. And I'll take a shot at someone, like we call it Sunday time at work, right? Because by Sunday, I'm pretty, fed up, at an event. I've been MF'd a whole lot by the time I get there, And some guy come up to me, and we've always allowed D5 to play on the pro field. And this guy come up to me just livid, and he probably watches the show. But anyhow, he's like, it is absolutely ridiculous that, we do all this stuff, we spend all this money, we do all this stuff, and you're not going to let us on the pro field. And I was like over it. So I was like, what sounds more ridiculous? A person that's playing a beginner division thinks that now they deserve an hour slot on the pro field. We just, we can't put everybody on the pro field. This is not an everybody wins type situation. So, and he was like, yeah, good point. He was like, that's a good point. But, so it really started with D5, where we were trying to clarify that we really want that to be your introduction to paintball. We don't want you to live there. We don't want someone building a team to win D5. You know what I mean? We want to win the series. We want to dominate D5. The goal is to move you up into the regular ranks, right? So it kind of started there, and then we kind of were using that as an opportunity to re-rank everybody. And we are also kind of we're having this challenge at the top level where I feel like the semi-pro teams are getting a lot more professional. They are not just like a drop-in division that we've had while you're waiting to be pro. There really are good teams over there, proven by the fact that a team that was semi-pro, less than 12 months ago won World Cup. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
So, and we also, I envision in the future to have more of a transfer between the two divisions, right? Like, as unfortunately, sooner or later, you guys are going to get too old to play, right? Maybe you guys still want to play, but you're not going to be, you don't get picked up by the team, so you move on down to the next division, right? You're playing the retirement tour. But also, I just feel like a lot of those players that have only been in pro for a couple of years or whatever, I feel like there's some flexible. Like you move up, you move back down, you move up, you move back down. Sort of like AA or AAA or however that works in baseball, right? Where they send people down and up.
And might I add, I have been highly entertained by the semi-pro division. I actually watch all the semi-pro games and really enjoy the drama that's going on in that rank as well. And also, they're going to be my competitors soon, so I want to have my eyes on my future competitors as well. And I think it's really amazing what we've cultivated with that division.
Yeah, no, and their paintball IQ is ridiculous, right? They're, like you talk to those guys now, and it's like talking to pros 5 years ago, right? It's impressive. Now, in truth, you guys have now taken it to another level, right? Like it's crazy. I was at SC Village and I was talking to Spica, and it's just, he's like dropping knowledge, you know what I mean? And it was just, it's just impressive to see how sophisticated all the pro players have gotten.
It is. Yeah.
But now the semi-pro guys, like I said, are like where we were at, the pro guys were at a couple of years ago in their paintball IQ. And to be honest with you, I don't like, this is where I get candid, but I don't like the pro guys just picking up amongst themselves, right? I want some recruitment of talent to come out of this, whether it's semi-pro or somewhere else. It would help everybody if everybody's cultivating talent. And you guys have been kind of like gatekeepers, right? I mean, just look at Ryan Greenspan, right? He has been winning tournaments in my generation. You know what I mean? The next generation, the next generation, the next generation, right? And if you guys just keep picking up each other amongst your own little group, we're never getting that new blood in. And I was hoping, with PB Fit doing so well, maybe there will be some interest in some new blood, because you can be really good and have some high IQ, but there's a guy out there that's hungry, that's practicing and grinding. I notice, a lot of the pro guys don't want to grind anymore. That's a definite trend we got, And I think in the past, because paintball IQ was so important, you could still outplay them in the end, right? But now they're getting smart and hungry, and it's a problem. And I would just, I envision a world where that transfer is a lot easier. And you guys, the pro teams are doing a better job cultivating those guys to try and bring them up.
So are you still going to be looking to maybe change the names? Because I know you said it's for outside eyes as well. So there's probably still brainstorming going on.
Yeah, we'll revisit that. I mean, literally, if I would have thought that was going to be anywhere near as controversial as that, I would not have announced it, right? Like, I really didn't think anybody was vested in being called D3, right? So many people texted me within like a minute that I realized that people were vested in it from all walks of life. You know what I mean? I get D5 guys telling me they don't want to be called intro. I got pro guys telling me it's a joke that we're going to be called. The only people that didn't text me was the semi-pro people. I didn't get an e-text from a semi-pro.
Like, we did it. We're pro. We're pro.
Yep. We're pro. We made it. We made it. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's how it goes.
It was fun, but yeah, we'll look at it again, and we'll get a little more consumer stuff in there. Talk to people, but I mean, people just also don't like change, right? I mean, in the end, like, you know, I'm the president of the league, right? But if I have the same responsibilities and the same pay, you could call me anything you want, right? You can call me operations guru or trash guy or whatever, right? If the job's the same and the pay's the same, what difference does it make what you call me? But apparently there is some concerns there about what you call me.
I think there is a tactful way that we can approach the naming of the divisions, but I do definitely think there needs to be a clear separation between professional and then, you know, what comes next. And we can decide what that is going to be, but having that, you know, professional tier is the attainment goal for anybody in whatever the divisions, you know, we're going to name it is called, and keeping it like that, you know, pyramid to the top. To the top of
it. You got to be careful, right? Because that's how the echo chamber starts, right? So I mean, how many people do you think just live in D4?
There is a good group. Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what I'm saying. So obviously, all of us have gone through the pro ranks, right? So I to me, it's inconceivable to not want to play up, right? I want to play the best team in the world and try and be better, right? That was always.
And I completely understand. Well, I understand that's not everybody's journey.
Yeah. And there's people that just enjoy playing the game, and then they just go and they play down there. And that's another interesting thing is like through most of the years of paintball, when you went through the top, once you got to a pro team and you got cut or retired or whatever the little, you know, usually it was a mutual thing, you were getting past your prime, you didn't go back into the marketplace. You know what I mean? You just quit. And we're seeing less of that now where people may want to go back and play again, right? Like if I, you know, if you know, like people enjoy playing paintball, which is a good thing. Which is good. So hopefully they'll keep playing.
And I think it should be similar to what we have. Like the division, it doesn't bother me that it's called division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we can find a more maybe fun way of ranking that into the pro ranks, you know?
Yeah. I'm open to it.
I think it's really clean and concise, the division 1 through 5. I mean, maybe you have an intro division, maybe 5 becomes intro. I know we talked about that, Tom. I've said this for a long time because this has been an issue in regional leagues for a long time, is you'll have teams that want to stick in D5 longer than they should be there. And that certainly should be, in my opinion, an intro division to where you can only play like one full season in that division, and then you have to go to D4. But again, semi-pro is so easy for anybody that doesn't know paintball to understand. Professional is so easy for anyone that doesn't know paintball.
You know, understand. I'll give you that. Yeah. So I'll tell you one of the things we're working on right now is, you know, we have a lot of data, right? And trying to go through that data is a challenge sometimes, but we are trying to find out, you know, what our conversion rate is from those lower divisions, which one gives, we'll just use Mike and Tiki's, right? Or MVPS, right? So let's say Mike has a D3 or a 3-man D6, right? And he gets 100 new people in there that play that the beginning of the season, right? And everybody wants to grow, right? We're not picking on anybody, right? But let's say Mike has a 3-man that's D6 and he gets you know, at the end of the season next year, 50 new people sign up, or the 50 of the same people come and play. That means we have a 50% conversion rate for the person who played that year to move into the next year. And let's say MVPS is running D5X ball and he's got a 30% conversion rate, right? That's something we need to look at. Like what is making people stick? And that's one of the things that I like about having so many different promoters trying different things is we can then look at that data and see what's working and try to, you know, then you know, educate everybody that is working and try and figure out why, if that makes sense, right? Like, you know, when you're trying to convert people, you don't really know the answer, right? And so you just need to kind of figure out what's making people convert and what's going on. So,
yeah,
once we get them in, once we get a person in, a lot of times they become a lifer, right? I mean, how many years you two been playing?
Yeah, I haven't stopped for over 20. I don't know. It's a lot of years. A lot of years been playing.
Yeah, so I mean, I've played at least once for, I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm not even going to say, probably 30 years, 36 years. Jesus,
yeah, you've been in the game.
Yeah, I mean, but I've played at least once every year, right? So you're a lifer, right? I still buy
Yeah.
my stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Actually, I just got your Planet Eclipse card. Shout out to Planet Eclipse. So amazing. They sent me over a deck of cards, and there's one of you in there diving, playing woods ball. I'm like, hey, there's Tommy. Let's go.
that was ICC. That was yep.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And so back to the conversation about the ranking. When I started, it was just rookie, novice, amateur, pro. I know that we went away from that. And what was the reason, just so the listeners know, that we navigated from that?
No idea.
To be more relatable to outside people.
No,
I don't know. So, and it's one of the things that's tricky, right? So
because I think that's so universal. Rookie, then you have like novice 1, novice 2, amateur 1, amateur 2, semi-pro, pro. You can have a bunch of fun with that.
Yeah, for sure. No one wants to be called rookie, though. It's part of the problem, right?
I know. That's the thing we got to be mindful of, is that bottom tier. You got to give them something good, like gold. We'll call them gold. You gold tier.
You don't want to live in it, right? So that's the problem, right? If
it's
confusing, people just decide to live there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people I'm sure you all have it happen. You get your haircut, and you say, "Yeah, I play professional paintball or whatever," and they're like, "Oh, my cousin, he's a pro." And you're like, "Really?"
Yeah.
And they're like, whatever. I've only happened once, and it was a real guy.
That has happened to me so many times, and I don't think it's ever been a real guy. I'm like, yeah, I hate to be this guy, but he doesn't play pro. It's just that, we would know.
I just let him slide. I just like, no, he's world champion.
Yeah.
World champion. I was on a tour one time with like driving around and going to fields and stores. And I went there and I talked to this guy, and he's like, yeah, we won pro at World Cup. And I'm like, you play for the Russians? And he's like, this is like years ago. And he's like, no, we played D5. I was like, then you didn't win pro at World Cup. I don't know what.
Dude, it felt like it for him. He was like, whoa.
But yeah, no, it's good to let those people have that. But at some point in time, we don't want them living down there, right?
Yeah.
We want them to move up.
Yeah. Well, we had some fun this week on the internet. Shout out to everybody that made it live out there and having a great time. Speaking of making it live, we've got some real live action news. Edmonton Impact has picked up Mike Urena. He's back. He's back with the crew.
Yeah. If you guys haven't been following, Alex Goldman took a massive offer, $175,000 offer from AC Diesel. So we had that spot open, and Mikey, was really excited to come back to the team, which is amazing. And for those that don't know, Mikey actually came back for less than he was getting on the Russians, which I think says a lot. I think it's important to want to be here and want to play with the people around you. So we're incredibly excited to have Mikey back on board. I mean, I was like, that was terrible news when Mikey left, when we made the move over to Impact, and Mikey called and said, I got some bad news, Marge. And he said he was going to Red Legion. I was really bummed about it, because Mikey's somebody that is one of the best teammates and players around. You really can't find him much better. So to get him back on board, he had a hell of a year last year with Impact, and I think this year is going to be just a huge step up year for him again.
Yeah, Mikey, let's go, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Bash
What do you
Bros.
think about all this stuff, Tom? This stuff's crazy. This stuff's insane.
It is insane.
All the back and forth. And I know everyone's talking about like contracts and isn't stuff signed and yada yada yada. Unfortunately, no. In pro paintball, we're not there yet. There are really no contracts. So pretty much until the first event, everything's the wild, wild west. It's up in the air.
What's even all the way up until August, right? It's the third event. That's
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And I see in the comments, right, every time someone moves, right? I mean, you get vested, right? Like I don't think I was happy that you left Dynasty, right? Wasn't happy with the title, left Dynasty, right? That's my team. I want to have the best lineup in the world out there. But the problem is that you really can't, we can't enforce contracts, right? The NXL can. And I know everybody kind of wants us to do that, and they want it to be like, the NFL and all that stuff. And we've talked about this offline, but like it is complicated to do that, right? You have to have a congressional exemption to have all that stuff. It is there to protect the employees. And in the end, let's use Mouse as an example. Mouse is an employee, right, of of Impact last week, and now he's an employee of wherever. Just imagine if Burger King could say you can't go work at McDonald's. I got you for life over here, right? Like, so it's a challenge, and the FTC just came out again in 2024 and reiterated that non-competes are not even really binding now. So when they're doing away with them, existing non-competes are still going to keep enforced, but new ones will not be. So it's a pretty tricky thing. And I don't know of anybody that's ever tried to write a contract for a player and just try to, because like in the end, we're not the people to arbitrate that. Really, you would just take them to court, right? There's a whole court system in the United States designed to deal with this type of stuff. So if Impact wants to sign you two and say you guys have to play for us for the year, then and you guys quit, they would have to come after you in court. And I don't believe anybody's going to say any court's going to let them win that and try and keep you to a contract, because then they'd have to pay you. So that is one caveat of like the non-competes and stuff. So let's say the league wanted to hire me to a non-compete and say that I couldn't work for another league, right? But then they fired me, right? Let's just say tomorrow they fired me. That name thing was really dumb, Tom. We're going to go ahead and let you go. So then they let me go. I would then immediately be able to go start working for another league, even if I had the non-compete, unless they continued to pay out my contract. So they could say, we're going to keep you on your salary. We're releasing you from your roles. Then they could keep me from not working for another league.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I tell the team owners, if you guys are interested in trying to lock your players, you need to contact your own lawyer and talk about it. But that's not our place.
Now, Tom, it is, and again, this is just something I don't fully understand. I've been trying to wrap my brain around it. I understand non-competes and all that, but in other sports like NBA, NFL, MLB, obviously contracts are enforceable. Is that because every single team has ownership in the league, so it's all under the same umbrella essentially? So you're not keeping somebody from working for another company necessarily. It's the same company. It's all within the league, and there's set parameters and minimum wage or minimum contracts and stuff like that within the league.
So there's still some of that, but it really is a congressional exemption against, employment laws, right? So literally the big four, big five, whatever it is, has a congressional exemption against those type of monopoly type situations, those employee protections. And one of the caveats to that is you have to have a collective bargaining agreement, right? That's one of the first steps to get that. But I mean, we're just so far away from that, right? And we would not even be able to manage, let's just say we said you had to, honor your contract, right? Then there's always going to be a dispute over the litigation of the contract, right? Like he told me I was going to get green M&Ms in my room every time I checked in, and and now I don't get the green M&Ms, and so that's breach of contract, right? We're not the authority to arbitrate them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know. I can't ask for your financial records. You know what I mean? Like I can't say, we'll pick on Bart because he's friend. So like if Bart said, Marcelo can't quit, and you're like, hey, he owes me a bunch of money. I can't be like, you guys send me all your bank records. Right. And if you don't, you're in contempt of court, right? It's just, you guys are like, it's none of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And
because we're customers. Like the way the Major League Paintball is structured is different. And that's what I'm saying. I think in other sports, the professional teams aren't customers; they're actually owners. They are partners in the league,
but they're not partners in their teams, right? So the Dallas Cowboys,
the players are not.
Really, that's what it comes down to. It's just, and I used this analogy the other day, but it's just like if you had a lawn care company and you got together with all the other lawn care companies and said, "Hey, once I have an employee, we're all going to pay him $12 an hour, and you never steal any of my employees."
Yeah, because
if that happened, then the salaries would not go up.
Right, because technically, NFL player is an employee of the team, but they're technically an employee of the NFL.
No, I don't know. That's a company, but maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's that is the difference, right?
That's one way you could do it, right? So we could have, the top 6 teams could get together and say, hey, we're going to create another company. Call this Tom's Cool League, right? And then we have Tom's Cool League, and all 6 of us own it. Right? Or all 6 of them own it. And I'm the guy, the commissioner, right? I'm the Roger Goodell. So all 6 of you own it. And we just say, hey, everybody gets a first round draft pick, and all the players have to play for their draft pick. And the owners could say, the maximum we're going to pay the first round guy is $50,000. Right? And so we did that whole thing, right? But and so you could do that, right? Because you're getting paid by Tom Cole's Cool League, and we can set internally our own management stuff. And we can just say, if you don't want to work for Dynasty, then you don't work here at all. You can't just sit out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you could do that way, and that would be a workaround.
Got it.
Yeah, that's how all the big dogs
interesting.
All the big entities are running it like that.
And then we would call them Pro Special.
Pro Special.
That's the
or pro paid. Pro paid. Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, again, big
salaries
contract
are going up, right? You guys can say what you want about the thing. Salaries are going up.
They are. Yeah. And that is that's something that I think divisional players should be excited about. Is the limits are being pushed on what professional players can get paid in this game, which is that's a really cool thing. So at the end of the day, this offseason has been crazy, a lot of back and forth stuff, but there's been a lot of good, a lot of really cool things to see, that there's still team owners that are really excited about trying to build the best team they can, and they're willing to pay, and they're willing to do whatever they think is the right step.
So, and one thing that I think would be neat, because we can lock rosters, right? That's one thing we can do at some point in time, lock rosters. Right?
Sure.
And there's already holes in my ideas, I'm saying it. But one of the things I thought would be neat is we have a preseason tournament, right? That's no entrance fee, no prize package, no whatever, right? But at 9 a.m. when that roster drops and you play, that's your team for the season, right? You can't switch teams. And that would, we pick a host hotel, right? We say it's the Marriott downtown in Los Angeles or whatever. We're playing at, Hollywood Sports Park the next day. And that would give you guys that whole night to do any of these last minute negotiations or whatever. Because at some point in time, you want to know who you're going to play with. And as an owner, you want to know who your team is, right? Like this is the cards I've been dealt. And then we're going to stick through it to the year. The problem is if you have any type of internal problems, then everybody's kind of screwed, right?
Totally.
Suddenly,
And I mean, just because in this particular situation, I think for a long time on PTG, especially, we have talked about not wanting to limit a player's ability to get paid, because there's still not a minimum salary, right? It's not like once you turn pro, you automatically get paid. So I don't love the idea of limiting, say a player comes up through the ranks, they have a stellar first event, they might be paying part of their way to play with their team. I don't want to take away their ability to get compensated.
In the end,
you know what I mean?
Just helps management, right?
Yeah.
Not to pick on management, right? But anything that restricts player moves or restricts salaries or any of that stuff, it really helps the team manager, right? Which is the person we have to take into account. But this, the players should be the anti people of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Sometimes we get confused about the alliance. People are always like, you need a players union. I'm like, that is not my job.
Yeah.
Players' job to have a players union.
Yeah, that's actually not what you want.
Send me a message, say you need to create a players union. I'm like, that's the opposite of what I want.
Yeah. Well, and for everyone, because we
should have a players union, but I'm not going to build it for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, the reality is there have been multiple iterations of a players union. There, like 5 or 6 years ago, I know that I spearheaded one, and we had a decent group, but people were just not responsive. So it gets very discouraging because not enough people care. I do think we are continuing to enter an age where more and more people do care, and maybe it's time to revisit that. I think it would be again, eventually enough people are going to care where it works, but we've had it in the past. Tim Montresor also spearheaded one like maybe a decade before that. We have had these, quote unquote player unions. They just, ideas get proposed and you get like a quarter of the group to respond, and, things are moving in a timely fashion. So if you don't get a response to the league or, to Jason or to Tom by the time they need, then your voice doesn't even get heard. And, over time that kind of deteriorates and it, the group just kind of dissipates. So, again, that was like 5-6 years ago. I think it might have even been longer. I think we're probably in a good place to revisit that.
Yeah, it's funny. You feel like, especially, when you read the comments after my, our naming debacle there the other day, right? It's like people like question everything about everything you're doing, right? Like I saw people like Tom's really like sucking at his job and all that, basic consensus, Tom sucking at his job. It's fine. But
well, I mean, that's just not the case.
When you think of how new we are as a sport, right? Like, when did we start? 81, 80? I don't even know the year, which is depressing.
We just started crawling. We're just a little baby.
So we've come so far in such a short period of time. I mean, when I was playing, the entire tournament was 20 teams.
Yeah.
Right. The whole tournament was 21. That's not even our fringe 10-man that plays on Sunday tournament now, So
the leaps and bounds that we have made as a structured community, and we've gone through a lot as a community as well through, the 2010 crisis, blossoming out of that
3 times. Maybe
that's
4
right.
times in my lifetime.
That's right.
Yeah, and we have a challenge. Every time I talk to other sports, I'm like, I've just been dealt a horrible hand with this sport. It's hard to film. It's expensive to play. You can't just play it anywhere. I mean, it's a challenge.
It is.
Like, I was just on a call with Atlantic City right before this call, a Zoom call with all their different departments, and they're like,
nice.
There's a lot of paintballs left on the ground. I'm like, yep, we shoot a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why we choose Bader Field, is because we don't have to pick them all up. So, like, it was a lot, though. I was like, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, what is the number on that?
No idea. I mean, I've done the math before, but I don't know right now. But you look at a pickleball tournament; they don't leave anything.
Yeah.
Water bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the science on the paintball, though, it's biodegradable, right? It is
biodegradable, but
takes a little bit of time.
If we go to a place, well, it depends on where you go. But if we go to a place that has another event up and coming, so we try and tactically stage our events where they don't have an event for a couple weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, when we went to Vegas, we have to have it really clean. Huntington Beach was a place that had to be immaculate the very next day. Same with the Cleveland venue that we had. They're going to run a soccer tournament the very next weekend. And I've learned through time that we're better off not being in that situation. Philly, remember the year that we really did a bad job at Philly, right, with that college was there? I had to go tell the women's lacrosse team, I think, that they were not going to be playing their tournament or their practices that weekend. Because, I mean, I saw them, like, they took all their stuff out. They were carrying the pop-ups over, and I just stopped them before they even got over there. I was like, you don't even take them over there. You're not going to be able to play here this weekend. So
just because of the amant of paint everywhere. Yeah.
No, it was the rain.
The ground. We had to.
Yeah.
It was a soccer field, and we had, like, played in the rain.
So it was a mud fest. Yeah.
Mud fest, right? So that you leave all those little, like, divots and trenches from people. It's like a perfect V out from the start box. If you guys all run out and dive.
Yeah.
So we actually ended up paying for their practice lot or their tournament location somewhere else, and buses that bus everybody over.
Sheesh.
But it's the card we've been dealt, and the game's obviously super exciting and super addicting. So
it
on
is.
one side, we got a good thing.
It is, and there's truly nothing like it. I know I've played every sport under the sun. I'm a sports fanatic. I love all sports, traditional, non-traditional, extreme sports, and nothing for me captivates me the way that paintball does. I don't know what it is about it, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the math as well. It's a very geometric game, and there's a lot of like ratios and things that you have to weigh out in the mind while you're playing. That's very captivating as well, and it's super difficult physically. So there's a myriad of things that really make it a fun game, and you get to be a part of a community that I've never found a sports community that is quite like the paintball one out of all the ones I've played in.
Well, we're definitely lifers, so
that's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tom, let's dive into some big news with Major League Paintball. We know you guys did secure a venue for another award show, which I am so excited about. I know we were kind of on the fence if you guys were going to be able to pull it off or not, but it sounds like you guys did. The venue looks pretty amazing. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like that's one of the best moves forward we did was the Summit Awards right there, kind of recognizing everybody, making it pretty legit. I was super happy with what the team had pulled off there, kind of getting that done. And I mean, I felt good, it was like one of my proudest moments in paintball, right? Just to have that on that stage, and when you're walking through the casino, seeing all those logos and stuff. So we wanted, we need to keep that alive and kind of make that happen, an annual thing. So So we're at Ybor City. I hope I'm saying that right. And we have a private area rented, so we'll do that on Sunday. So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty amazing.
Outstanding. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Love to
Tom, I
hear that.
agree.
And
Yeah,
I think we'll get more people this time. I mean, not that we'd had a bad showing last time, but I think now that everybody knows what it's going to be.
Right.
I mean, do you remember when we released the dress code, like how mocked we got online? Like that was the
Yeah.
biggest mocking we got. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want you showing up in like cutoff shorts and flip-flops to our show, right?
It's a nice place.
We had to set a tone, right? And it worked out great. And we had no flip-flops. But, yeah, we want it to be legit.
Yeah, and Tom, I agree. I think that was one of the biggest steps forward for professional paintball. Again, talk about legitimizing the sport, being able to have something, again, that you can work your whole career for, to be able to get recognized, in the sport. And it wasn't just pro players. It was also a week-long kind of convention for the industry. Do you guys still plan on doing that? You're not doing that part
at least this year. We're probably going to do that every other year. That was quite expensive.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a lot of work. And so we'll definitely revisit that next year, try to do that every other year. I tell you, what started it for me was Tim, right? When Tim passed away, I was like, I don't know that, and obviously now a lot's come out, like now we've known Mrs. Montressa, right? But at the time, I'm like, I don't know if his parents know how big of an impact he was in paintball, right? So it would have been nice to have had that, he would have won at some point in time, right? He was
absolutely
a great player and a great teammate and all that stuff. So, it would be nice to be able to bring your family and be like, wow, this really is legit. Because, a lot of times it's convincing the parents that this is good. The Dynasty guys awful point that at like the Spider Cup or whatever. And I remember a conversation with my dad when I was younger, when I first started playing. I had to take off work to go to a paintball tournament. And he's like, at some point in time, you have to stop playing and start working. And I said, well, we're in a quandary here because I only work so I can afford to play. When I stop playing, I don't need to work. So this is not a win-win thing here. And it took him a long time before he was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And this is probably going to be a career for you. Right. And I could see everybody having that challenge, right? It's good to.
Well, I know I've experienced that challenge as well when I was, getting out of high school, going into college, and then decided to go to work while I'm still playing pro paintball from the age of 14 till this very day. And my mom's like, yeah, you're doing good, doing good, you're pro and everything, but you're also better think about, the other side of the coin. And in my mind, I'm like, there is no other side of the coin.
This is the coin.
This is the coin. I'm going to make this coin shine. I'm going to make sure this coin works. And we've been able to work hard, and all of us have. And that's what I'm reiterating on the community, is this community is second to none. And the bond that we all have to help make this sport come to life is like nothing I've ever experienced. And it's a really thrilling adventure because we're on the precipice of like breaking this thing through to the world and letting them know, hey, this is a possibility for your child, that they can possibly come through and play some pro paintball and have a really amazing adventure and hopefully create a great life for themselves while they're doing it as well. And that is the dream that my kids or, anybody out there's lineage can have a future in this game. And we're trying our hardest. All of us are, to build that. And that's the adventure.
And be on ESPN.
Hey, I heard there's a lot of things that are on the cusp here.
Yeah, we actually that I don't have it in front of me, but I was scanning the Discord questions, and I know that was a question from one of the members. Are there any, is there any news on an event this season that will be broadcasted on ESPN or Fox or any of the major players?
So we will. I'll give you the guarantee. So we will be aired somewhere this year, for sure. Now, right now, it looks like we will be doing ESPN or Atlantic City on ESPN again. It's going to give us more time to do the show, right? Because last year, the first due date for the show was the day of the tournament, so we didn't really have a lot of time to kind of like really tweak behind the scenes and make the show the best it could be. Even though I thought it was a pretty good show,
I did too.
So we'll be filming it early at Atlantic City. and we're hoping for another hour. We're currently negotiating with ESPN to try and see if we can't get them to bring it up to an hour and give us a better time slot. So that's still in the works. But we have also, at least another 2 options on the table that could be amazing. So
that's phenomenal. Wow.
Still working on it. Still
nice work. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah, so don't call it nice work. It's a nice try.
But nice try. There you go. It's a captivating sport though, Tom. That's what and people who look at it, they know that. They're smart enough to understand, what's the future of sports going to be? There's a lot of really intelligent people out there who are in the sports marketplace and are, that's their job, and they're looking for the future. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show. Of sports. And I think we have an amazing product for the future. It's a very futuristic game in its nature. Futuristic, we could almost make it like a Tron style. I don't know. There's got to be a style that makes this thing pop,
Yeah,
I don't know what it looks like.
I had a debrief meeting with our production group or whatever that handled the ESPN thing, and leading up to the event, throughout the whole event, they were like, "This is insane! Like the production value is insane. The amount of cameras you got, this is just there's too many cameras." Basically, what they said. And then we did this review afterwards, and they're like, "I know this is going to sound crazy, but you needed more cameras." I'm like, perfect, great. We needed more cameras. So they're excited. I mean, if you look at the production value of what we put out, shout out to Go Sports, right? It's really good. And once again, that's because we have a passionate audience that's constantly giving us advice on what to do and what they want to see out of it. So it's a real show. I mean, it's got a high production value. It is. Now that comes with a cost, but yeah, it's impressive. And so I think people now are dying for content, and our content is deliverable right out of the box. So
yes. Yeah. Big ups to Go Sports, everything that they're doing for everyone who watches on our phone. We joke about it all the time. It's like, I had to go get my butt out of bed in the cold, go to the field, watch paintball games. You could lay in bed and watch it on your phone now.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and that question was from P-Ball Wiz. So shout out to P-Ball Wiz from the Discord. It was
P-Ball.
Any updates from ESPN? If it were on ESPN, would it be on the Ocho again, or would we get a little upgrade there? Maybe go to ESPN 7?
No, it's definitely going to be on the Ocho. I mean, the Ocho is actually one of their more watched programming. You know what I mean? Because it's not on the Ocho channel; it's on ESPN as the Ocho show. And so they're moving it to Disney this year. The on-site stuff last year they did at Rock Hill. This year they moved it to Disney. So we'll see what changes that has in place. Strangely, you always think the outside people plan way in advance, but ESPN is like fire from the hip kind of situation here with the Ocho. So I'm always impressed. I went to a show with the NFL one time, and they were talking about their fumbles and stuff, and it's just funny. It's it's all the same.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Tom, do you know if I'm sure I hope we're keeping track of this, but has there been a correlation with that ESPN airing and an increase in Go Sports viewership, even the public YouTube stuff that we have on Major League Paintball Plus?
I mean, we see a steady growth. I wouldn't say we saw a spike. We did see a spike on our website. I think we had 1,900 people visit the field finder that day in that 24-hour period of that show going out.
That's good.
But yeah, so they definitely saw the show and went to go find out where to play paintball. We don't have that second. We weren't trying to activate anything. We weren't trying to capture anything. You typed in your zip code and it gave you the paintball park that was nearest to you. So any stores and fields, make sure you fill out that form that's on our site. We'll be updating that here shortly. We don't do live updates with it, so I apologize, but we do a batch update every once in a while to make sure that's current. So that went well. You know what I mean? I don't think the time slot helped us at all, right?
Sure, yeah.
So, but it's been re-aired a bunch of times.
It did.
Have the final data, but I mean, ESPN reached out. I mean, very early this year and just said, hey, just let you know that we got you in the books again for the next one. Let us know if we have to, change anything in the contract or whatever, but we're assuming we're moving forward. And I was like, absolutely, let's make this happen. So
And it re-aired at some better times even than the original airtime, because I know I watched it in the morning time, I think the following day or the day after, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
It did for sure. So
yeah.
And we also, we had a deal with Unbeaten last year that did well. They just sent me a report today. I think it was 4.8 million unique viewers watched it through that platform, the other shows. So
beautiful.
So we're currently talking to them about next year. So I feel like, and I've said this before, and I'm not trying to blow smoke, but I feel like we are on the cusp of some pretty big changes pretty quick for the sport, right? I think over the next 5 years, you're going to see, we're not going to be in the same place we have been for the past 5 years.
And speaking of the next 5 years, I know that, we're going to be heading out to, I think it's Giant Sports Dallas for the February 7th weekend to try some stuff out, right? I think we're doing like an exhibition out there.
Yep.
Yeah. And that is to kind of cultivate. And once again, we're not trying to change the game, but just start getting ideas rolling on how maybe we can make a format. And it's not going to be for everybody, probably just for the pros or something like that, but something that we can use that will be highly attractive to the eye for, I guess, a TV viewer. Is that what this is all about?
Yeah. So one of the things that's frustrating, like with paintball, with our people, right, is there's a lot of opinions, but there's not a lot of data, right? So
yeah,
we don't really have, it's like people are like, I didn't like the show, or, you're never going to get paintball on TV with that show, right? I'm like, well, who did you talk to that didn't like it, right? And they're like, they're going to name other paintball people. And I'm like, well, the show wasn't necessarily designed for them, right? So, so it's a challenge, right? So we need some data and we need some information and we need to test stuff. And, looking at the name thing, right? People are vested in what they do. No one wants us to change the core format. So this is a safe way to kind of try stuff without kind of infuriating everybody.
Well, I can tell you this, the only constant is change, people. So let's be open-minded and, obviously not everything's going to work, but we have to be creative. If we don't stay creative, we will be lost to the past and we won't get anywhere. So we got to make sure that we're staying creative and being mindful of the entire gambit that is paintball. But one of the things I see people get so caught up on is thinking that what the pros do has to be for everybody. And I don't know any other professional sport or, major top tier sport that has the same rules throughout all the divisions. If you look at, the NBA, NFL, all these sports have different rules for the pro division. And I think that's something that we need to be open to, having the pros maybe play a little bit different style than what everyone else plays.
Yeah. And I do agree with that to some level, but I also think that because we're vertically integrated and everybody's trying to get their team to play pro, you'd hate to have it be two different complete formats, right? To some level. And maybe semi-pro has the other format, but and through history, whatever the pros play, it's what everybody else wants to adopt. So we need to be cognizant of that,
It can't be too far away. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, think about it, right? A TV show and the original X-Ball, I think they were a little ahead of their time as far as what they were doing, but they designed those matches to be a TV show.
Oh, it was brutal. Those matches were crazy.
Yeah. So, but they did too much at the same time. There was a lot going on there, right?
Yeah.
And it was it was definitely a shot for the bleachers, right? They were trying to take this thing the whole way, a home run right away.
Well, for everybody that doesn't know, it was 2 25-minute halves, 2 25-minute halves, uncapped, just madness.
But it was designed to be a TV show.
Yeah.
And so that's some of the stuff that we may have to tweak, right? Like right now we're running like a tournament style, and maybe at some point in time we have to go, and I'm just not saying anything, just brainstorming really, but
of course, yeah,
to like a longer match, you know what I mean, that has more ups and downs. And to be honest with you, the parity that in those days was not as good. So a longer match then just meant like a longer ass whooping for the really bad team, right?
It really was.
That's not fun to watch either, right? I think the Russians run up like 31-1 or something to people. I'm making that up, but it was brutal. When you were losing, it was brutal and it never ended.
Some of the people were like, I'm not going back out. They would say that. They're like,
I could see that. And that comes from not having parity, right? And now there's parity. To where, and maybe a longer game would crack that parity a little bit, right? But
I think so. Yeah.
If you had World Cup and that match between Dynasty and Impact and PB Fit was another 30 minutes, I think we still would end up in an overtime point, right?
Yeah.
That type of situation, right? So, And in the end, that makes for good TV, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting to think about.
I always just revert back, Tom, to how I view pretty much all sports. You know, again, I know that I love watching paintball. I know that everyone here loves watching paintball. I know a lot of people that love watching paintball, and they're the ones that understand the game. They're the ones that are invested in players or teams. It's the same way that I watch any other sport. I love watching football, but even in the playoffs, there were some games that the wild card round was so boring. It was so boring. Every single game, except there was one game that was good. I forgot. There was one 3-point game. I forget which game it was, but every game was boring. It's the same format. It's not a different format than they play, you know, the whole season or some of the other games. It just comes down to certain matchups. To me, that tells me that it's not a format thing. You know, I love watching basketball, but if it's two teams that I don't care about and there's like no players on either side that I care about or that I like or that I follow, I don't enjoy watching it. I'm not going to sit down for 2.5 hours. I might watch like, you know, the end of the fourth quarter if it's a close game. But otherwise, I don't really care to watch those teams or those players. That is a very powerful thing to understand as far as like what captures people's attention. It is a connection with a player, an organization, whether it's because where a team is from, where a player is from, hardships that an individual has gone through to get to the point that they're at that you could relate to. And so you're cheering for them. You want them to succeed. These are the things that capture people, whether it, you know, rivalries, like, you know, I'm sure everyone is going to be really excited to watch Diesel play Impact now. Like these storylines should actually be told for the sake of viewership and engagement.
Down who's mad at Impact? You got Heat, Dynasty.
Yeah, no, it's fine. All of them. But we should be telling the stories, because these stories, they kind of fizzle out throughout the season. They do. You know, you have the off season and everyone talks about it. And then you go into the first event and those storylines kind of dissipate. Maddie does a pretty good job of, you know, reiterating stuff throughout the year. But again, in other sports, you have, and I know, I see you want to interject here. Just let me finish this thought. But in other sports, you have so many shows that you have a bunch of different analysts that are consistently talking about a move or what it means to lose a player for a certain team and how these matchups are going to be. And you're preparing. There is probably, you know, it's probably 50-1, the ratio of content that is promoting an event, a sporting event, and then the actual event, right? It might even be more. You have ESPN on all day long, every single day, talking about a 3-hour football game on the weekend, right? Yeah. So I think that's what we really need to focus on. I really, really do, is doing a better job of that, and it's going to make people want to tune into the matches.
I'll give you one shot. So you are ESPN, right? You are that show, right? You're the 30-minute show. So
we're doing our best.
That's your role in this situation. And yeah, and I don't disagree with you. It's like I use Mark Johnson's example. So I watched the Go Sports during COVID. You know, they had that one-on-one tournament that they did in Texas, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Mark's older, so I rooted for Mark, right? That's my attachment, right? I want the old guy to win, right? I root for Tom Brady. If it's going to be Tom Brady versus Mahomes, I'm rooting for Brady because I want the old guy to win. The hell with those young kids. You know what I mean? So that's the attachment you've got, right? And yes, I don't think, you know, Dynasty is probably the best brand at capturing fans and keeping fans. We really need to do a better job of creating fans.
Yeah.
Some of that falls on the teams, you know.
It does.
I mean, you know, Impact is one of the worst. And so
no more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Heat's also bad, right?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they made one, Tyler Harmon. You know, y'all made one. The team made one post last year. So, and that was the new coach, probably posted by the coach. And that's why we're hyping these player moves, right? We're trying to give the information out there to kind of let everybody know the drama that goes on behind the scenes. But you know, we can always do a better job marketing side, right? Marketing is an unlimited bucket of money that could be spent to try and make things better on that end. That is for sure.
And I like what you said. It's everyone's responsibility too. Obviously the league as a whole, but all of us too can do our part to highlight things and create cool stories and get engaging content that people say, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to click this link and go check this out and see what he's talking about or she's talking about with this player, that player. And I think you're absolutely right, March. There is a lot that we can unfold in that realm. And then in regards to the format, I'm not saying that we change the entire format. I think that we're actually very close, and I think that we have a great game, but maybe just some minor tweaks to the pro division in maybe just like, instead of unlimited paint, the players get 6 pods. It's a little bit more digestible for a viewer. They say, oh, they all get 6. Okay, I understand that. Or 5 or whatever. And then the game goes a little quicker, so we don't have a 9-minute point, make that part of the thing a little bit faster. And, just
every sport does this, right? Like, the NFL.
Randy's been a big pusher for this, right? Randy Smith is the one saying, like, let's be more like the other sports and testing this. One of the things that probably turns off most of the people that watch the game is how much paint we waste, right? You ever see that? Like, that's silly. You know what I mean? That's silly. You guys waste all that paint. Maybe going to a limited paint would make it easier for people to understand, because that's more like what they think about, right? So there's definitely rooms to change some stuff, right? Maybe it's the amount of bodies, right? Maybe TV is better with less bodies. Maybe it's better with more bodies. We need to test this stuff, though. One of the problems, and I talk about the echo chamber, right? So what the existing 10,000 people that play high-level paintball and watch high-level paintball want to see, it's been pretty consistent that we've kept those 10,000 people relatively engaged, right? And the next step is got to be what gets the other, 300 million engaged, right?
Yeah.
So, we got to be careful that we're not designing a product for us, and that we're designing a product for to some level, taking into account new consumers, right?
Yeah. Well, also, I got to just make this clear that I didn't start playing tournament paintball. I started playing for fun out in the woods or at a big recreational game. And I think that, we can funnel millions of players into tournament paintball by making them go have fun. Because honestly, I'll be completely candid, I don't want my 9 or 10-year-old to go play X-ball, because I know that he's going to get spooked. He is not going to have a good time, and he's going to run away from the game if I do that to him. If I put Theo, my son, out there on the field, I know he's going to get dunked on. Something crazy is going to happen, and he's going to be like, nah, Dad, this just ain't for me right now. So I'm going to take him, and we're going to go play big games together. We're going to go play a year of big games together, and he's going to fall in love with that cat and mouse game through that, just like I did, and just like so many players out there have. And if we can create an amazing funnel like that, get them to the field, get them to the rec parks, let's build the communities, let's build all these national parks and get tons and tons of players playing, as many as we can, and create a funnel from that into tournaments. Show them there's a pathway to a pro division. There's a pathway to a life in this, but first go have some fun. And then if you want to take it up 10 notches, here's your pathway.
Yeah. What was your first tournament?
My first tournament was a 3v3 tournament in Modesto, California at Extreme Paintball Park.
And Marcelo, what was your first one?
My first tournament or first tournament?
First tournament.
Yeah, it was a 3-man. It's so funny. I was just going through my garage. I have this old box of stuff I've had since I was a baby, essentially. And I had these little 3-man beginner trophies from a series called Best in the West. And it was out at Velocity Paintball here in Ramona. It was just a 3-man beginner. I was also called beginner.
Rookie. And the naming we changed. So.
Yeah. And I loved it. Yeah. That was my first tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think in general, you'll find, was it in the woods or was it airball? I think you started in airball.
No, airball. I didn't. Airball. No, this was 2002. Airball was like just coming on the scene, and we didn't have that at the field yet. So it was all woods ball.
Okay.
Hyperball.
Woods too, right?
Yeah.
No, actually, Rich Telford had the very first like airball setups with the tubes in the ground that were coming up out of the ground into like these cones. I'll never forget these funny looking bunkers. You had like a wing nut. It looked like a screw, and then you had the cones, all these funny airball bunkers. But it was one of the best days of my life. I'll never forget that day. And it was super digestible for me as a young player to go from woods ball into 3v3, because I could keep track of all the bodies in my mind. Once you get into this, 10 players on the field, it's hard for a young player to keep track of all that. So I think the 3v3 for the beginner or the rookie, it's so funny. We're talking about we got to call them the gold tier now. How soft we've become, man. No, you're the rookie. You're rookie, okay?
Well, there may be some consumer confidence in knowing, it's like when you go buy something, if it says starter pack, like if you've never done it before, the starter pack is what you need, right? It's reflective of what you need as the consumer. That's what naming is. It's not supposed to be like a badge. It's supposed to help people determine what to purchase.
Yeah, and I didn't mind being called a rookie because it's what I was. And if I was in there for 4 years, I would say to myself, man, I think I'm past this rookie phase. I need to move up to the next tier here. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the rookie or that naming.
I remember I was excited to turn rookie. Like when we went from beginner to rookie, I was like, nice. Rookie was like, you're leveling up.
Moving
and then
up.
Novice was the top of the division in that local league, So like if you were novice, you were cool,
Yeah.
So in the end, I mean, this is what I've taken from this. Almost all the great players that currently play the game probably started as beginners or rookies and not D5.
Rookie.
Funny, I was talking to
I'm totally on.
He was like, I was amateur B. I was like, yeah, it's completely screwed your career up, right? Like going through that ranks, right?
Yeah.
So it is funny.
But I personally, I think the rookie, the way it just is what it is. Beginner.
Well, everybody's fine calling someone else's division something else.
Well,
If
I was a rookie. I was a rookie too.
That's true.
The only people that have been mad with the D5 guys, but I just said I'm changing pro, who'd have just had the pro guys mad. Next time,
then,
I'll definitely just pick on one division.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're solution oriented. Hop in the Discord or just message us personally and tell us what you would like for the division to be called so that we can have an idea.
And tell
They want it to be 5.
Division
them
5.
to chime in there and tell us what first tournament they played.
Yeah, we want to have data as well. So if you let us know, then we can try to make good decisions for the community as well. Because like we said, we're all in this together. We don't want people to be unhappy. We just want to have solutions. And if we're not solution oriented, it doesn't do anything for us to just, moan and groan and everybody throw their hands up. Let's get somewhere.
Unless it's a meme. It's good to make
memes up. Get the memes up.
Taking the time to write that I suck. Is it worth it? But if you're going to make a meme, it's got me, in a clown outfit.
Dude, the internet's undefeated. This thing is just tumultuous.
Yep. It's I'm 0-1 against the internet. So, but I'm going to come back. I got some.
Oh yeah.
I got something I'm going to throw in there.
There we go.
Win at. So
Tom, no. I think you're missing, Tom. I think you're missing the point. The term "the internet is undefeated" is relevant for a reason. You're not going to beat the internet, so don't even try. Don't even try. Yeah.
Mark called me and he was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Man, I was getting the hell out of that." And he's like, "What did you think?" And I said, "Have I ever backed down before?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Well, that's how bad I felt about it." I said, "I tried to argue with Marcelo for a couple of minutes and I lost that, which isn't a good start." I was like, I couldn't even defend my choices. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. So, yeah.
Dude, we love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely fun. It was an exciting 30 minutes.
Yeah, and man, the people, it was really entertaining. I will say that. It was funny. And we're all trying our best. I mean, at the end of the day, your heart's in the right place. You're trying to, obviously you have a bigger view than maybe the public even understands on this thing. You know more about what's going on in the
If I truly felt it was going to be a changer, I would have fought it, right? Like I fought the European thing because I 100% believe the European thing's a thing. Me and Marcelo have argued for hours. I believed in the WNXL, right? So that's a thing that regardless of how many haters we had, I was going down that path, right? So if I really do believe something, I want to do what I think is best, right? Because you can't too many cooks screw the soup, right? I believe is a saying. So at some point in time, you just got to go with your vision. Like Ford had said, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, right? Instead of a car. So sometimes you got to bring the vision because we'll just be happy to keep with the same thing. So, but I do appreciate it. It's nice that we have such a passionate audience that are so opinionated, right? Get in there.
Yeah. Yes. The people care. Yeah. Let's talk about the season we have coming up 2025. The first event will be at Raymond James Stadium. That's massive. We haven't been back there since, what was the year that we were? It was
the
7
era.
Yeah, it was 7, man.
It all kind of blends together to me. It's definitely
07 or something like that.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
It's quite nice down there. I was just there when we did the review of the venue. It's really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back at Raymond James Stadium. That was it's pretty nostalgic. That's a cool.
I mean, I really wish we were in Vegas for the first event. We're still hoping for something on the West Coast for next year, but I think Raymond James is a good substitute there, so we want to make that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Good weather too. Good weather. That's
good
important.
weather. Should be great weather.
Yeah.
And then we got I know. Come on, don't say that. Atlantic City, that'll be May 1st to the 4th, and we'll be back at the same spot there. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, Bader Field.
Awesome. And then we're going to Ohio. That's new for the year for the Midwest Open.
Yep. I'm excited about that one.
Where's that one going to be?
It's Cincinnati. Is that?
Yeah, but like the park, is it? What kind of a park we got going on?
It's a traditional park. It's more like a Vegas kind of park.
Nice. There we go. And then we'll be back in Texas, Garland, Texas, September 11th to the 14th. Is that the same spot? The
Same
Lone
spot.
Star?
Same spot, minus the mud.
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. We're going to trade the mud for 130 degrees and 98% humidity.
That one is going to be a war of attrition for the
It's going to be a war of attrition.
Let's go.
I don't know if there's anywhere. Yeah, I guess that September event we could find a nice, cool place, but it could be cool.
That Chicago, you guys nailed the Chicago event. It has had like one day of rain the last couple of years, but in my opinion, Chicago used to always be that middle event that was like often very brutal heat wise. Well, I think Texas will replace that, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be better.
It's going to be a grind. Yeah, it's going to be crazy out there because in September, I know I played for heat. It's going to be a little bit warm. And then we got World Cup and the location. We haven't decided on that one. Is that right?
No, it's the same spot. It's the
same spot. There you go. You heard it here. All right. So we're going to be back across the street from the Gaylord Palms there. And that'll be November 12th to the 16th.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. 12th to the 16th.
Did you watch the college game last night?
I turned in for a minute just to see how it was going, and I saw it wasn't going well. So I
oh, man. I know.
Wasn't going well for who? It depends on who you're rooting for.
Yeah.
It's going to be a close game, right? I don't want to watch anything. It's not a close game. So to your point earlier.
Exactly. Bingo. I'm telling you. Yeah, it's the same format. Format didn't change. It's just the game.
I'll give a shout out to the fantasy. That's why fantasy is important, right? So if I got a player in the game, I certainly want to watch football. If I don't have a player in game, I'm completely disengaged. And I'm rooting for the Bills just because Josh Allen was my quarterback, lead me to many victories this year. So now I'm a fan of Josh Allen. So
exactly.
That's why the fantasy stuff is pretty important to the growth.
Absolutely, it is.
Totally.
Yeah, I think more money. I read this somewhere. Should probably fact check it, but it makes sense. I think more money was spent on sports betting in 2024 than invested in the stock market in the United States. That says a lot. That says a lot
about the IQ of the United States. That was a shot. Yeah.
People want to have fun, man.
People want to have fun. Yeah, sports gambling is a big deal. So
it's an important part of people, following along.
And fantasy is too, right? Fantasy is
right.
Huge,
yeah.
Huge market.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I guess that's kind of like a quasi
form of sports betting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, let's dive into some Discord questions here. We have Dylan Boyum, one of the original Bruisers. He wants to know, Tom Cole, will there be a press conference this year on media days, which would be the Thursday practice day, where top 8 ranked pro teams have their coach or top representative hold court and lets media ask them questions?
I would love to do that. And on paper, all that, and it sounds great, right? The real challenge is getting those teams there. They really they want to focus on the tournament. And unlike the other sports leagues that do that stuff, we don't have a way to like bind them. So I'm game to try it. It's like one of those things we put it to the teams and say, hey, we're going to do this. And if they don't participate, then we just stop doing it. And then we can then, the pro can stop asking us to do it. Right. But I think it's important.
I think you could get enough, and you're right. So that is the issue again. So other professional sports, they have media deals, and those media deals are part of what funds the teams, the organizations, and the player contracts. So with that, they're obligated to a certain amount of media time. We don't have that. Again, the pro teams in Major League Paintball or in the NXL are paying customers. They're there to win a tournament. It's a little different. So you're right. It's not binding. So it would be, voluntary for teams to show up and do this. However, I think enough teams would participate, and maybe it's not like just the top 8 teams. Maybe we allow the flexibility of, if you're willing to do this, come and do this, and we can at least get enough content out to where it's engaging. It could be a nice addition and good little boost. Most of the teams are there on Thursday. Most of the teams have a couple bodies there. And if you do it later in the afternoon, you can kind of guarantee that you're going to have people, there. They have to register. You got to walk the field. So I think it's feasible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good idea. I'll talk to my team to see if we can implement it for Tampa. That would be cool.
He also wants to know, are injury reports going to be made public in 2025, the week prior to events? This is important for sports betting.
We will have to reserve the right to answer that one. I don't know. That was a complicated question.
It is. Right. Because if someone declares injured and then feels good to play, are they allowed to play? Yeah. Right. There's a lot to that.
For a while, just put everybody on question.
Yeah, everyone's questionable.
Yeah. So, once again, we have a hard time mandating anything for the teams to report anything to us.
Right.
Of course. Yeah. Because it's not like you just said, it's not mandated.
It was asked, right? And to be honest, information like that is useless if everybody's not doing it, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Alex and Ryan collide and break both their legs, and they don't report it, and then you guys report that no one's hurt on your team. It's just useless information.
Totally.
Yeah. And as we move into the future, who knows, 20 years down the line, I'm sure it'll be a whole different ball game. But right now, it's not the way it's set up.
Yeah.
All right, we got for Beezy. Are there going to be any changes to the rule book going into 2025? Shout out to the Discord too. Everybody in here sounding off. We got a ton of people in here. PTG World is popping. Also for the NXL or ICPL, any rule changes that we're going to see for 2025?
Nothing crazy. There will be some tweaks, I believe, to some of the stuff, but we don't have anything crazy planned.
Okay, cool. And we'll probably hear some more of that in the coming weeks as we lead towards the first event. Right on.
Yeah. All right. We got Patty Rice. Tom, what are your thoughts on the amount of team name changes, sales rebrands, etc. in one offseason? Do you have any worries about consistency of overall league cohesion to outside viewers when we have off seasons where so much of the league is called by new names in a few months?
Yeah, it's disturbing. And everybody makes comments about the fact that we charge a fee to change the name, right? It's, we put that in as a deterrent, right? We don't want you just to change your name every event to just try and keep up with stuff, right? And yeah, it's a challenge, right? It is bad. I mean, obviously everybody goes through this, right? So, we can just use the Commanders, right? There's a team getting ready to play in the championship game of the NFL that 3 years ago, that wasn't their name, or 4 years ago, that wasn't their name, right? And teams in the NFL move, right? It's just a challenge of the game, right? It's a challenge of the game. And yes, if we try to go to a locked pro division that was, all about the brand and stuff, then yes. But right now we're more like golf, where everybody, as you move into the pro ranks, you're a new pro player, and it's up to the teams really to protect their brand identity, right? I mean, you would never envision, a Dynasty, an Impact, or Heat changing their name every other week, right? So it's really those, I'll take a shot at everybody. It's the fringe teams that feel like they're power, that it doesn't matter if they change their name, right? I mean, if Dynasty wasn't called Dynasty anymore, and 3 years from now I had to call them, the Assassins or whatever, they would, all the fans that they had that wanted to get caught up, they'd go on the site and just be like, oh, Dynasty must not be around anymore, right? So the Dallas Cowboys haven't changed their name in forever, right? Not right. America's #1 team. So I think changing your brand name is brutal to your brand. Does it affect us? A little bit, but not as bad as all that. But it would be in a perfect world, we'd all keep the same name.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes sense. All right, we got Martin Saldert, and he's from Europe. Hi, Tom. I would like to try to get ESPN show in Europe. He's trying to at least just watch when ESPN airs. He's wondering who does he talk to, or is there any route that he can navigate to watch ESPN? Is there like a recording of it or any way that they can see it in Europe?
So no. So that's and it's interesting because when we started going to these shows about all the TV rights and all that stuff, I mean, it's quite complicated. There's different regions that have different rights, right? So someone has to buy the rights to watch an NFL show over there, right? So before that, they won't air it over there. ABC, if they own it here, they're not going to air it in Europe unless someone in Europe pays for the rights. So it's the same for ESPN. So when we give the rights to them to the US, we would have to find a different company in Europe to carry it in Europe.
I see.
And that is one of the things that we're working on.
Yep, that makes sense.
So like we did a deal with a company in Australia, so you could watch some of our stuff in Australia, but it's definitely geolocated. That's why even when you take a DVD out of the country, it'll say, you can't watch this DVD in Germany. And some of your Netflix shows, like, have you ever noticed that when you go to out of the country, you go watch Netflix, because it's all regional controlled, and it's it's one of the ways that they generate the revenue. Like there's a company that owns the NFL broadcast for rest of world. Right. So they sell the rights in the US very specifically, but then someone owns all the rights for the rest of the world.
Damn. That's a whole nother ball game there.
It's another level for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, my last question from the Discord is from Clint Riddle. Shout out to Clint. Love everything you continue to do in the space. He wants to know, Tom, can you talk about any efforts NXL is making to extend accessibility for spectators at events? I know it's not easy. I see accommodations being made like wheelchair accessible bathrooms, but navigating through the booths and even slightly wet conditions at events can be near impossible, specifically for folks with limited mobility. This is an important topic for me, and I'm willing to help in whatever way I can if there's anything I can do. He also offered his email. I can send that to you privately if you'd like. But
yeah, please do. So we do have a handicap access point to the VIP. And tell him to send me an email. I'll give him a VIP. But the getting in through the area there is a challenge, and we will pick them up in a golf cart and bring them. But yeah, it is a challenge, and I will look into that. I don't have an easy answer there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it over to you right now.
Yeah, tell them appreciate it.
All right, let's see. We got to ask.
Yeah, I mean, we do. Yeah, so we do have handicap access to the VIP.
Got to ask Verb's question. He doesn't remember if I can't remember if you gave this answer yet or not, but he's wondering favorite meal, favorite food, and favorite place to eat it.
Wow, that's a good one. I would say Cracker Barrel, and I like the country ham.
Oh, let's go.
Yo.
Wrecking Crew, that's Wrecking Crew's favorite spot.
Yeah, East Coast thing, maybe. Yeah.
Mike Hinman, too. That's his spot right there. He loves Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. And Mike Hinman, more alike than anybody thinks.
Yeah, that's right.
Facts.
Oh, man, Tom. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. We can't wait to see you soon. Are you going to be at
I'll let you guys do that without me.
Okay. See you.
Your 8-hour format with 15 people playing.
Yep.
Or if Clark has any say, it'll be 7-man. 7-man with uncapped ramping.
It'll be hockey, 3 periods.
It'll be hockey.
Yeah.
Tough
gloves
man.
off.
Yeah. Well,
top man. Yeah, tough man.
A lot of exciting stuff. This season's going to be a lot of fun. And again, Tom, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm going to ask a question. Do we think Fitt's going to win another one?
They're contenders.
I mean, you can't write them off. They're contenders. Yeah,
absolutely.
I predict someone new is going to win an event this year on top of that.
What do you mean someone new?
So like there's the 6 of you guys have won an event, right? And it's basically stays that same, right? But now I think everybody believes they can win because of what Fit did. I mean, Fit has, they've been grinding it forever, but they ain't been in the pro ranks for long, right? And to come out and do that win, I think that gives a hope to every team that if you put it together that weekend, they can win, right? So I predict someone else there's gonna be a new wild card in there winning something.
Yeah, it could be for sure. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of contenders. So, it's about, like you said, putting it together that weekend, and then more specifically on that Sunday.
Yep, on that Sunday. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Any given Sunday.
Given Sunday. That's where we wanted to be, and that's where we're at. So I'm super happy.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be in paintball, and thank you everyone for tuning in. If you want to join the Discord, go to our website, ptgpaintball.com, and click that orange link and join us in there. We'll see everyone soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you're at. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to ptgpaintball.com. Click the orange Patreon link in the corner and support
the show. We greatly appreciate it. We have tiers as low as $1.99 a month. That is nothing, guys, and it'll give you access to the Discord where you get access to the players chat and get to mingle with the entire PTG community. We have tons of different pros in there. Tyler and myself are very active, and it's an amazing way to support the show. We also have amazing other tiers. If you want to be one of the best, want to be a GOAT, sign up for the GOAT tier. It's the greatest way to support us, and each month we do a private live stream show, one-on-one kind of thing, to where it's just the GOATs, and Tyler and myself will bring in some special guests every now and then, but you get to ask us questions in real time, live, on the air, and you get lots of inside juicy news that we don't share on the show. So, as always, we will see you guys very soon.